Going into D23 last night, everybody knew that there was a possibility that Obsession star and will probably get an Oscar nomination, Indy Navarrette, could be named in the cast of X-Men. And then as D23 was going on, a lot of reports came out that she was seen on the red carpet of the event, that she was seen backstage. So, okay, we were all ready for her to be announced. And of course, we all kind of knew that this was a strong possibility because not long ago, she acknowledged that she had met with Thunderbolts director Jake Schreier, who is, of course, directing the new X-Men film. And she said, I'm just exploring possibilities. But we all thought, well, where there's smoke, there's fire. And then when they asked her who she would like to play in the X-Men, if she ever did play in the X-Men, she said, Mystique. So that got a lot of us thinking. Well, anyway, it happened. Last night at D23, Kevin Feige, president of Marvel Studios, is introducing a bunch of the cast members that we already knew were cast. And then came the big surprise. As Rogue, not Mystique, not Kitty Pryde, nobody else, as Rogue, Indy Navarrette. Now, I love the casting. We'll talk a little bit more about why, but I thought we would take this opportunity to find out what some other people think about Indy Navarrette being cast as Rogue.
So Indy Navarrette has just been cast as Rogue in the new X-Men film, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if she has the range for this role. Like, they should have just listened to the fans and casted her as...
Okay, look, casting is a very personal thing. Like, everybody in their own mind has a vision of what a character should be and what they should look like and how they should move or whatever. And I understand that. So not everybody's going to like the casting of Indy Navarrette on that basis alone. But to say she doesn't have the range is an interesting take. To not like it, I mean, it's fine if you don't like the casting, that's fine. But to not like it because you don't think she has the range, I'm not here to dump on anybody. I'm just going to say that's a very interesting take.
Mystique, because she would play Mystique much better and given Rogue to someone else. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of nonsense I would be saying if I didn't watch Obsession and see how much of an amazing actor.
Okay. I see what you played me. I see what you did there. Well done.
She really is. Bro, of course she has the range to play Rogue. If there is one thing that we learned from Obsession, it is that Indy Navarrette can step into a role and give the viewers the best experience.
Listen, like, take whatever else you want away from this video. You got to understand this one thing. Yes, Obsession was just one role, and it's dangerous to evaluate an actor's entire prowess based on one single role. Granted. But the thing about Obsession and her role as Nikki in Obsession was that the role called upon her to, like an elastic rebound, go from one extreme emotionally to another extreme emotionally at the drop of a hat. She could be sweet, and then she could be evil, and then she could be charming, and then she could be threatening. She could be calm, and then she could be chaotic. And all of that could happen in the movie in the range of like 5 seconds. I have not seen a performance like that many times. I mean, I'm not saying there aren't other actresses who could do it. I'm just saying there haven't been many roles in Hollywood that have called on a performer to go to such wild extremes at the drop of a hat the way Indy Navarrette did in Obsession. And that, to me, tells me she can fit into whatever role you want to give her, and that includes Rogue.
I just know that anyone who's actually hating on the fact that she has been casted as Rogue in the new X-Men didn't watch Obsession, because if they did, they would know that she was not casted solely because of the hype that followed after Obsession. Now,
yeah, she didn't get cast because of the hype of Obsession. She got cast because of the hype of her performance in Obsession. Now, look, the way casting is today, no matter who you named as Rogue, doesn't matter who, any name, could have been Odessa, could have been Spanish, could have been anybody. There would be a bunch of people that loved it, and there would be a bunch of people that hated it. Period. It doesn't matter who you cast. So obviously there are going to be some people that don't like the casting of Indy Navarrette. I just don't think there's all that many of them, to be honest with you, because I see a lot of people talking about how all these people hating on Indy's casting. I'm actually not finding a lot of people who are hating on it. But again, it's not going to be for everybody. But I mean, yeah, she's got the range. She's going to kill it.
There were a lot of X-Men roles I expected her to play. This was not one of them. Indy Navarrette has officially been cast.
Yeah, I think she's right. Obviously, Indy herself kind of laid out a big misdirect when she was asked who could she see herself playing in X-Men, and she said Mystique would be cool. So that was a lot of people thought Kitty Pryde. When you consider, though, how young they're going with the main cast now, I think Kitty Pryde would have needed somebody not a lot younger, but somebody younger than Indy Navarrette to play. But yeah, listen, if you had told me 100% for certain that, hey, John, tomorrow night they're going to announce Indy Navarrette as an X-Men character, give me 3 guesses who she's going to play. I have to admit, Rogue probably wouldn't have been on my bingo card, but I think she's going to absolutely kill it.
As Rogue, as announced at D23, I'm not going to hold you. I do have to let this one sink in. When I say I clicked the notification and I saw Rogue, and then I just saw her, the first words that came out of my mouth was, oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, reports came out that Indy Navarrette was spotted at D23. I mean, she was on the step and repeat. She was spotted backstage. So, okay, we were ready at that point to hear her name. But I think when Kevin Feige was naming out the cast and then said, as Rogue, my first thought was, oh, cool, we're getting to somebody else before we get to whoever Indy Navarrette is playing. So yeah, I got to admit, I'm all for it. I think she's going to kill it. But yes, I confess too, Rogue was not on my bingo card.
About the casting of Indy Navarrette as Rogue for the next X-Men film. This is a very interesting one for me because her performance in Obsession was one of the best performances I've ever seen, and that movie is in my top 10 films of all time. I thought she was
listen, again, I know this is going to be talked about a lot, and I know I've already brought it up a lot, but I don't know how you can come out of watching her performance in Obsession and not think she will kill it as Rogue. Now, I get it. I hear some people saying, well, Rogue's not supposed to be 5'1", however tall Indy Navarrette is. And okay, that's true, but I've never understood that simpleton mindset because when it comes to physical factors about characters from comic books, novels, other types of source material, the question you have to ask is this one particular physical characteristic we're talking about, is that a part of the character's story, or is it only a part of the character's description? Because if it's not part of the story and it's only part of the description without affecting the story, then I think that becomes something that's flexible in an adaptation. A good example of this is, say, Harry Potter, right? So Harry Potter is, number one, described as having the little lightning scar on his head, right? That's part of his description. But as you go through Harry Potter, the little lightning scar on his head plays a part of the story. It's relevant. It comes up as something that helps influence and steer the narrative about what happens to him, how people react to him. It's a part of the story. It's not just a part of his description. And I would argue that the specific height of Rogue has nothing to do with Rogue's story. Absolutely zero impact on the story. It has only something to do with how she's described in some outlets and in some iterations of the comic book. I would challenge that if you went out and found 1,000, if you found 1,000 random people on the street and stopped them and said, hey, how rich or poor is Bruce Wayne in Batman? I'm willing to bet you 65 to 75% of the average people on the street would say, well, Bruce Wayne's rich. He's a millionaire or a billionaire or whatever. Either way, he's rich. Everybody knows that. Most people know that, right? I bet you if you stop the same 1,000 people on the street and ask them, how tall is Rogue? 99.9% of them would have no idea. And I think that's a great example of how something can be in the description of the character, yet have nothing to do with the story. And if it's got nothing to do with the story, who cares if Indy's a little bit shorter than the traditional Rogue? Hey, that's the way I see it.
going to be Mystique because of the way she was talking about the character and
that
how
she
much
misdirected
range she has as well.
Gave us a huge misdirect.
Perfect. So I had that set in my mind, and then of course she's now Rogue, and all of a sudden people are saying, she only got Rogue off the back of Obsession, this and that. You kind of get big roles off the back of generational performances. I don't know why.
Thank you. That's been one of the craziest things I've heard. It's like, she only got it because of Obsession. You mean she only got it because she turned in an iconic lifetime performance in one of the most sleeper hit movies of the year? Oh gosh, is that the only reason? Oh, okay. What else are you supposed to get for? It's like, yeah. LeBron James only got a massive contract because, he's the leading scorer of all time. Like, well, of course. Like, one thing can have something to do with the other, and that not necessarily be a bad thing or negative thing.
That. I think the only issue for Rogue is there were a lot of clear options that we would have all been happy with. Rogue is actually quite tall in the comics, like above 5'6".
Just talking about that, yeah.
And Indy's 5 foot. But all the other candidates, bar Odessa Asian, who I would have cast,
thank you,
were literally 5 foot or like 5'2". So
okay, I love this guy. Because that's another conversation I heard. It's like, well, should have been this. Like, wait a minute, you just complained about her height, but these other actresses aren't that much, if at all, taller. So pick your poison. So this guy's got a great logical mind. I like the way he thinks.
Cast anyone who's 5 foot. I'm not gonna lie, Indy is by far the best option. She's got the range. I know she can do the accent. I don't even need to hear it. She just needs to put some heels on, obviously get the hair.
I don't even think she needs to put heels on, to be honest with you. Fine. Listen, there were two other particular names that were brought up for the role of Rogue, and that was Odessa Zion and I always mispronounce her name, Callie Spaney. I think that's how you say it. Anyway, and listen, when you watch Marty Supreme, or if you watch any of Callie's stuff, either one of them would have also been very good picks. And if Kevin Feige stood on that stage and said, as Rogue, and then said one of their names, I also would have been totally happy. Like, for me, X actor and X role, no pun intended, the number one thing I'm looking for is, are you getting an exceptional actress? And I think all three of them are great. But I do have to say right now, I think they picked the best actress out of the bunch. I mean, again, all three, fantastic. All three I would have been totally happy with, and I'll look very forward to seeing what the other two do in the near future. But yeah, I think they ended up with a pretty damn good pick. All right, guys, that'll wrap up this little session of what other people think. But the question is, what do you think about the casting of Indy Navarrette as Rogue in the X-Men? I think it's a fabulous choice. I think it's going to bring a lot of attention to the film, but more than that, they got a world-class actress in it, and I can't wait to see what she does. Anyway, that'll do it for me for now, guys. Thank you for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.